fall, right? Alright, Rednecks, we had one heck of a weekend with this thing last week, and we're going to go ahead and give her a once over and make sure everything's alright. So far we have about 18 hours of abuse on this thing, and I think it's time we check that front end over, make sure our ball joints are good, our tie rods are good. We're going to check over the rear suspension, front suspension, check our belt tensioner, you know. Just give her a once over. I'm not sure if this weekend if I'm actually going to be going again. If I am, I'm going to be very happy. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Let's get started. All right, guys, we are going to get started by checking this front end steering and suspension. I'm not suspicious of any damage, but we are going to go ahead and check it over as if it was a new vehicle to me. So let's get started. Yeah, that was something. Let's do it the right way now. Alright, the next thing you want to do is to check the steering. You grab the wheel on both sides and you twist it back and forth. What you're looking for is play in your pitman arm, your idler arm, your inner tie rod, and your outer tie rod. So right now, all the play we're seeing right now is actually me just turning the wheel inside. It's hitting stop to stop. A little bit of pitman arm play, but nothing dramatic. Then what you want to do is grab a pry bar, slide it underneath the tire, and push in on the top of the tire while prying up, and you're trying to feel for any kind of play, any pretty much any kind of movement. Feels pretty good to me. We're going to get you guys set up in there, and I'm going to do the same thing, and you guys will get to see what them joints look like. Alright guys, right here, this is your lower ball joint. And right up here, this is your upper ball joint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push in on the tire and pry up on it. And what you're looking for is up and down movement on this one as well as this one. You guys see anything? Feels pretty solid. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to push the tire this way and back this way. And I'm going to move it back and forth. And what you're looking for, this is your outer tie rod. This will either move up or down, side to side, depending on how much slop it has. And your upper right here, you're looking for in and out movement of that one. So all that feels pretty solid too. So let's move to the other side. Alright guys, I do have a little play with this end, but I'm going to show you where that's at here in a second. But right now, obviously we're watching our lower and our upper, and then I'm going to go side to side and you're going to watch your outer and your inner. Alright guys, I did find something wrong that is rather uncommon, but this upper control arm bushing is shot, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But you have to understand, this vehicle went over 18 hours of abuse, and it's understandable that something had to break. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull out on this tire, and you're going to be watching that thing move, and it moves a lot. Yeah. That shot. Alright guys, besides the upper control arm bushing on the passenger side, I'd say the front end looks pretty good on this thing. All the shocks look good. You take a look. We don't have any more wear than last time on it. What I ended up doing is just moving the upper control arm adjustments out for the camber, and that brought it far enough away from the shocks that it no longer damages them. So yeah, let's check that rear suspension over. Alright guys, as far as the rear suspension goes, the most we can do is just kind of give it a visual inspection. So if we take a look, we're going to want to make sure our coil is sitting on our pad good, and that looks good. It's good up there. None of the links are broken. Can take a look at our shock bushings. We can take a look at our trailing arm bushing. And then obviously you want to inspect your bump stop. It still looks pretty good, so side looks alright. Let's go over to the passenger side. That side's looking good. The rubber's smushing out a little bit, but it's not coming off the pad. It is a little bit. That's kind of a little alarming, but shock's not going to come off. Everything looks good up there. Our shock bushing looks good. Trailing arm bushing looks good. Everything else looks generally good. Now, one thing we did notice somebody actually pointed out is my rear diff cover is actually leaking. It's not actually the gasket. It's actually the cover must have a pinhole leak in it. So I'm going to have to get another diff cover for it, or I'm going to try and pull that one off and save it. We'll see. Then obviously fill it with fluid. But yeah, everything else looks good under here. Alright, another thing you're going to want to do is check all your fluid levels over, your brake fluid, your power steering fluid, your engine oil, your transmission fluid. Coolant is another important one, and then make sure your serpentine belt's good. Give her a pull, make sure your tensioner is good, you know, kind of inspect the belt, make sure this belt's not cracked or splitting. So yeah, let's get to checking all that out. Not too bad. I expected that to be a lot worse. Alright guys, when checking the air cleaner, I noticed obviously these this tab and the tab over here is broke off. And I did the only rational thing anybody would do. Put a zip tie on it. I mean, why wouldn't you put a zip tie on it? Zip ties are awesome. Alright guys, take a look. Bad boy is nearing 247,000 miles, and considering the amount of abuse it's taken, I am impressed. The only thing wrong at this point is that upper control arm bushing. Now, it was a quart down on oil. I did have to add oil last trip as well, so it uses about a quart of oil every trip, which is evenly as impressive. So it's a little dark, so I'm going to change it again. I changed it when I first went. That was yeah, we've gone 3 trips now, so it's got 3 trips on that oil change. I think it's time for a change, so I'm going to do the same thing, change the oil, and I'm going to do an oil additive. I did STP last time. I'll probably do the same thing, maybe give it some Lucas, considering this thing is well worth it. So yeah, like, share, subscribe, get back to work. That's it.